What's up, everybody? This is Phil Rogacki.
And I'm Jared Abergina.
You're listening to Two Tree Guys Podcast. What's up, everybody? Phil Rogacki here with another episode of Two Tree Guys here at ArborFest, North Carolina. And we're sitting here with Mr. Todd. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Braguglia. Todd Braguglia. We're going to hear his story, and he already started the podcast before we started the podcast, talking about some stuff, and it's going to be pretty interesting. So you guys are going to want to tune into this. But before we get started, guys, pay the fee, share. If you like it, if it's something you learned today, post it, put it on your Instagram, put it on your Facebook, get it out there so other people can enjoy this and stuff like that. So we appreciate it. And if you don't like it, don't share it.
No bad comments either, please.
No bad comments. All positive. All positive. So, all right, let's get into this. Todd, welcome, man. Welcome. This is your first podcast, but you listen to podcasts all the time.
I do. I do a lot of traveling. I'm a contract climber. And spend a lot of time on the road. And as I was talking about it earlier, it doesn't matter what platform you use, Spotify, Pandora, whatever, you end up in a loop. And I get tired of listening to the same thing. And so I've turned to podcasts, and it's usually something different. Good. It's entertaining, and it's something different. It's cool.
Well, good. Well, one day you're going to be driving. You're going to hear your voice come on there, man.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Is there anything you want to tell yourself in the future right now while you're listening to it?
Don't smoke cigarettes.
There you go, Todd. You're listening right now and you're driving. Don't smoke cigarettes.
That's right.
But where are you from?
I was originally born in Alice, Texas. I've been in Virginia since 1982. So that's kind of where I call my home, is Gloucester, Virginia.
Gotcha. Now, how'd you get into this industry?
I was actually cutting grass, and we were in an apartment complex trimming trees in like the most rudimentary method you could possibly ever think of, just a waste belt, not adjusting lanyard, pole spikes, just raping trees. And I was like, man, I think I could do this every day. And an opportunity came up where a gentleman by the name of David Douglas, Tidewater Tree Care out of Pocosin, Virginia, his student had quit him and going on to greener pastures like a lot of us do. And he was looking for somebody else to teach. Okay. And he was a Colonial Williamsburg arborist. He was right on the cusp of innovation. And this was in 92. It would have been May or June of 92 that I actually got with him. And he set a really great foundation of knowledge for me, turned me on to people like Alex Shigo, turned me on to great periodicals, got my nose in a book, and started me out on identification and proper techniques, and it was all about spurless pruning and proper cuts, and was right on the edge of everything with good rigging techniques and using blocks and slings.
And how'd you meet him?
My dad was a bookkeeper for a florist, and I can't remember her name, Fran something. She was neighbors with David Douglas, and my dad and her work. She was a designer, and he was in the office, and they just got to chatting it up and talking about life. And I came up, and that came up.
And he was like, hey, my son, I think would like to do this.
would be interested in this, and I went for it.
And you went, and you met him for the first time?
I went in for an interview, and we got to talking and went right to work.
Yeah.
And
now, a lot of people out there, they're not as lucky as you to meet someone like that for the first time and getting taught right, correct?
Absolutely. A lot of people, they see somebody doing it and they're like, oh, I think I can do that. Or they go after the quick buck. And I meet a lot of people that are YouTube and book taught. And the great thing about the industry now, though, is through social media and events like this, we've built up a huge community of really passionate people that are into recreational climbing. They're into the competition climbing. They're into the instructional end of it. They're into, a lot of us like the big recreational end of it. We'll just go to a cool place and go for a sunset or a sunrise or just a great venue, string high lines and hang hammocks. And I've been involved in a lot of those. I know people have done the sequoias. We've done the redwoods. I've strung hammocks up on the mall at Washington, D.C., Roosevelt Island.
That's cool.
I have friends that have done roller coasters and closed down amusement parks all over the place. Just cool spots, pick a spot, throw a rope up. Dustin Goodman, he was in a tree this morning, 80 feet up, checking the sunrise come up over the mountains. Just a lot of us did sunset the other night.
That's cool.
It's the community's really growing, and the opportunity to go and learn from other people, because we invited everybody. We threw up a post on Facebook and it's like, hey, we've got an Airbnb. There's these 2 humongous white oaks. Come hang out with us. And we had Joshua Burr, Jeff Inman, Andre Sprague, myself, Richard Bryant, Junior and Senior. They were from back home. They came out and hung with us.
Cool.
Brandon Rubin, North Carolina tree specialist.
Yeah.
They came out, hung with us, and they were worried about the atmosphere. And they got out there, and it wasn't a bunch of pretentious snobs. It was just a bunch of tree guys out there having fun.
Our industry is awesome.
It really is
awesome.
And it is growing every day, every event. You'll bring in a couple more people. And the great thing is the number of passionate people we have setting good foundations that they know somebody is always watching them. Mm-hmm. And so people are like, oh, well, the Z133 and the PPE police. Well, yeah, somebody's got to be that guy. Somebody's got to be the guiding hand in the industry to say, hey, look, if this is our foundation, if you follow these basic rules, these basic standards, if you can follow this in your everyday performance and not shy away from it. I met a guy years ago at a Vermeer day, Tobias Weigard, and his whole thing was never take both hands off the saw. Mm-hmm. And he was told that in the very beginning, and he thought it applied to a handsaw, chainsaw, any kind of a saw. And I got around the right people here at ArbFest. I had met a few people at TCIA. I came here, I guess it was 2019, and I met Bill Burley. And that was like, he opened up so many doors for me. I was supposed to go up and climb with him in Rhode Island for a guy, Jake Manfredi, tremendous tree service. And things kind of fell through, and he ended up in California. I had some obligations I had to attend to. We just couldn't meet up. Well, he went out to California. He was like, hey, you were going to come to Rhode Island. Can you come out to California? Did some juggling of numbers, and it was just as cheap for me to fly out to California and stay with friends than it was for me to drive to Rhode Island and get a hotel room. So I went ahead and went out to California. It was right after the campfire. We were in Chico, California. I got to travel back and forth from Chico to Redding. I got to meet Missy Sue McNeil, John Stedman, got to hang out one-on-one with Bill Burley and his environment, met Eric Palacios, Michael Teller, Daniel Goss, Andrew Michael Sweaterski, just a whole list of really big names.
How do you remember everybody's first and last name like that? Because from the beginning of our talk today, you were naming names, and I'm like, shit, is that how they say their last name?
Well, I run into these guys over and over and over again now. We all show up at the same places, and
cool,
it's
man.
To me, it's name recognition. If it's people talk about the 15 minutes of fame. I'm not worried about the fame. Just remember me. Just if you can remember one thing from me, and if I can remember your face and your name, and I can come back and I can greet you by name. When people greet me by name, it just blows my mind. How did they remember my name? So I try to extend the same courtesy to them. I try to.
Yeah, you remember them all.
Well, I said in the very beginning, I like to give credit where credit is due. And there's so many people that I can give credit to in this industry that just have taught me so much, and it has just grown from there. From hanging out with Bill Burley, he'd be on the phone talking with Josh Anderson, Red Wing Logging, and Bill was like, talk to Todd, ask Todd. And when I got home, I was like, hey, I was running a small saw shop. I still have the Texas Chainsaw Mechanic. It is my email. I'm at gmail.com. And I was building custom saws, and we ran like a small just cabinet. We had 2 cabinets in our shop that had just basic rudimentary gear. I had a Sherrill wholesale account. I held it for 7 years, but I had this opportunity with Red Wing Logging. They were like, hey, would you like to be a distributor? I was like, yeah, this would be great. Yeah. And then from there, I was already doing rec climbs and the comps and everything. So I started meeting more people, and they're like, hey, can you get us this? Can you get us that? Can you get us this? And we ended up through Chris Coates and Joshua Burr. I'm like the slime king of North America. It's KM3 Max Slime. It's this slime. Yeah, it's KM3. It's a 32 strand tuba burger static rope. and it was designed for green screens. When you're doing like rope tricks and everything, you just cut the rope out. But it's just bright, poppy, and nobody could get it. You could get it for like through Maple Leaf Ropes in Canada, and they finally set up somebody in Texas, so you weren't paying an extreme tariffs. But the price was outrageous. I was giving this stuff away just so everybody could have this rope.
Yeah.
And it's a great color, but that rope kind of put me on the map with what I was doing. And years ago, I had to tree people. It was my company in Virginia cutting trees. I had an accident. I fell 15 feet and compressed 3 vertebrae in my spine. And I never thought I was going to climb again. I got back into it. And then this opportunity came up. So I just reused the name and started to tree people. And because I was going everywhere, I was like, well, it's kind of like a gear locker. So we started the mobile gear locker. And I ended up at places like Legends. I did Legends, and I got bit by Legends, the 40 and older comp in Florida. It's usually in the Orlando area. We had it in Apopka this year. And from there, I reached out to Chris Coates. He was like 3 hours from my house. I was like, hey, man, I see y'all is doing these cool things in DC and gorges, and y'all are popping caves and everything. I was like, come hang out with you. And he's like, yeah, come on, man. And we did something kind of lame, but it was super cool to me. And I started hanging out with these guys and started picking up tricks from them. And that's when they were like, hey, can you get us this rope? Let's find this color. And we were like the only people that had it. And now we've got Galaxy, we've got Ultraviolet, we've got Purple, the different colors. And we're actually waiting for the release of the Ultraviolet. It was supposed to be out mid this week. It'll be out 4 weeks, hopefully. It's kind of a juggle on that. But Joey No Hook's climb, that was like a big event right after Arborfest the last time. And I missed it. I was out on the Appalachian Trail hiking. But the next one, I didn't miss it. I was down there with Joey Hooks. And that's become like one of the events that like the in crowd, everybody wants to be at the Joey No Hooks climb. And I got to meet people like Bob Farrow from out in Colorado, Bob and Sherry Farrow. And I get to see Daniel Goss and Michael Teller and Paul White and Trevor Alden.
You've been just traveling around all over the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Climbing, wreck climbing.
Oh, yeah. We've done hurricanes, tornadoes, ice storms. I try to kind of shy away from the ice storms. I'm not real buggy on that. But, yeah, like I ended up back in Rhode Island getting to work for Jake Manfredi. I was in Williamsburg with Charles Gardner and a couple other people in Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg. Charles Gardner's one step away from being board certified master arborist. He is the Colonial Williamsburg arborist. We've got MAC ISA coming there. We did North American Open Masters, I guess it was last year because of Charles Gardner. We were able to do that in Williamsburg. But we were up there doing a wreck climb, and I got a call from Bill Burley and was like, hey, Jake needs a guy in Rhode Island. Can you get up there? And I was like, yeah, man, I'll go to Rhode Island. I was supposed to be in California right now, but yeah, I'll go to Rhode Island. And went up there, and I've been kind of going back and forth between.
So when was it a time in your life where you knew that this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life? Like,
I did it on a grind for so many years, and I had an employer. He would not fire me. It didn't matter what I did. This guy would not get rid of me, and he wouldn't fire me. He wouldn't let me quit. He would show up at my house. He'd get me up. He'd drag me to work. He was like, come on, let's do this. And I decided, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to be the best I possibly can. And
when was that?
That's probably been about 15 years ago.
Now, why do you have to drag you in?
I was on drugs. I was on alcohol. I was a pretty disheveled person. I wasn't a good human being.
Who was this guy?
I really don't want to name the guy. He's a real turd. The guy was
he's a turd.
Yeah, horrible person.
But he kept getting
you up. He was a scoundrel.
But he kept pushing you.
And it was greed. It was money. It was the whole thing.
But did it benefit you?
It benefited me because I found true love for the industry. I found true love for myself. I realized that I could be a lot better.
Good.
I found sobriety. I've got a mental condition. I took myself off of psychotropic drugs 7 years ago. I haven't taken a single pill of any kind, not so much as an aspirin in 7 years. My life has gotten nothing but better. It is stellar at this point in my life. And I quit smoking cigarettes like 3 months ago. I'm starting to be able to breathe and smell again.
Yeah.
I was doing Treapalooza, and a friend of mine, Andrew Bayless, got to this one station. It was a bucket station, and it was in this weird janky spot. And I could have gotten 3 stations, come down, pulled gear, but I had in my mind, I'm going to get this one station. And when I finally got there, I was so gassed, I couldn't breathe. I thought they were going to have to pull an aerial rescue on me. I was that far out of shape. And I was like, I'm never going to smoke again. And I haven't. I put them down, and I was like, okay. And then
Did you replace it with anything?
I'm vaping, but I don't really chief on it like I would a cigarette. Like when I was driving, I would have cigarette stains, nicotine stains on my fingers from smoking.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I don't even remember I smoked, but I have social anxiety, real high social anxiety. And I'll get in situations and I'll just go chief on that thing. But for the most part, no, I really don't smoke on it as much as I thought I might. And I can breathe again. I did the Southern Tree Climbing Competition last weekend. I wasn't gassed at all. I'm really looking forward to progression at MAC.
So even though that guy was a turd, I mean, he pushed you, he got you up, and it was for greed, but it made your mind go, screw this. I'm going to go all in on this.
I went all in, and I started.
What would you have done in your life, you think, where you'd be right now if you didn't have tree climbing in it?
I started out doing electronics, but it bored me spitless. I was staring into an oscilloscope. You'd put a sign in from a sine wave generator into a motherboard, and you had to know how to read an oscilloscope, and you had to know when it would. You had NAND gates, NOR gates, AND gates, OR gates, counters, flip-flops. It's all chips, and you had to know when the signal would change and what to do, what you had to replace. And it just, you're breathing fumes. And I ended up making sculptures out of all the used parts. I'd make like ants and dinosaurs. And
you still got some of them?
I gave them all away. I was working for Wiley Laboratories, fixing motherboards for Wang and IBM computers.
Yeah.
And this is back when a computer would cost you $100,000. And I was making insane money. I was like 18, 19 years old and killing it. And I didn't know what to do. And so I joined the Navy. And I was a bosun's mate working with ropes and fibers and cables. And I got out and started cutting grass and got into trees. And I've never looked back.
Man.
And it's...
What's the future hold for you? What's your next plan?
I want to be an educator. I really want to sell gear. I still want to be involved, even if it's just volunteering at the competitions, even if all I'm able as I get older to do is just be a scoring judge or a proctor or something. I always want to be in the industry. I think the selling of the gear is got me connected with so many people and opportunities I would have never had. If somebody had told me 3 to 5 years ago I'd be where I am now, I'd laugh long and hard at them. There's no way to have ever said, oh, you're going to be doing a podcast. No, I won't. I won't ever be that guy. I never thought I'd be that guy. Bill Burley hit me with that profound statement. We were in a discussion amongst friends, and I said, well, I do it like this when I know I have somebody watching. And he said, no, Todd, you always have somebody watching you. You put yourself into that situation, you are that guy. Whether they're watching for you to succeed or to fail, you have somebody watching you all the time. And so I live a pretty transparent life. I live it in everybody's face because I feel like if I show you everything, I don't have to worry about hiding anything. I can just go through, and like when I was raising my kid, I told him, we don't need to lie about anything. Our lives are so cool. We have such opportunities, and we take the opportunities. A lot of people talk about, oh man, I'd love to do this. And it's like, hey, let's go do this. Yeah. Or I've got a group of friends. This opportunity is here. Let's go do this. And it's a wild ride. It's really cool.
That's cool, man. I mean, you guys are watching sunsets up at the. I would have loved to come out there.
Well, I got lost the other day. They were all in National Forest hammocking up, and there's no reception whatsoever.
Yeah,
and
that's perfect.
I had driven down and where they had dropped a pin. Well, there was another pin drop that I didn't get. They were like on the other side of the park. Well, I drove back up to the parkway, and just on a whim, I called my boy Andrew Bayless. I was like, hey, rumor has it you're in North Carolina. He's like, yeah, I am, man. We're camping down on the river. I was like, where are you? He said, where are you? I was like, I'm on the Blue Ridge watching the sunset. I'm getting ready to hammock up. He's like, all right, we're looking at the time. We see when the sun sets. We'll be right there. And they came up and found me and took me to my friends. And they had high lines strung up right on the creek, like 2 and 3 hammocks up on a high line.
That's cool.
Joshua Burr was showing me his new Superior hammock system, and I was like, man, I gotta have one. It's cool. Man,
meeting all these great people out there, and I know some of them I don't know. Would love to meet them. What are some wisdom, kind of tips from the top that you can give the people listening to this today and, driving or going to work or working out right now? I mean,
Regret is a horrible thing.
Mhm.
Living with regret, missing an opportunities missed. If you have a chance to do something and it's something that you have any amount of interest in, or especially if you're passionate about it, and you turn down that opportunity, you may look back the rest of your life and think, wow, what would things have been had I not taken that opportunity? If sacrifice something that you do all the time, just kick it to the side and be like, I'm not going to do it this time. I have an opportunity to go do this. I'm going to do me one time and see how it affects your life. Take the leap.
I like that. I like that a lot. And that's opened up so many doors for you.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the people you've met and the places you've gone and the things you've learned and the life you get to experience.
I still give Bill Burley all the credit in the world.
I love that guy.
And he's like, no, Todd, all I did was show you the door.
That's it.
You opened the door. You saw the opportunity.
That's
you
good.
ran with it, dude. He's like, look where you are now. Look where you are now.
Well, when you come out to California, come visit us.
Oh, absolutely.
Come see us.
Absolutely.
Santa Rosa, California.
I'll be out there for Treetopia is going
Okay.
on. I'll be
Cool.
out there for the Redwood Rec Climb 2022. That happens in August.
Cool.
Bill's always trying to get me out there to work with him, but I don't have the certs. It's 30 years, and that's another thing. If you have an opportunity,
you don't have the certs to do what?
Mulberry's is pretty strict about their guidelines on things, and
Gotcha.
they follow the TCIA. And I've got the books. I've read
Yeah.
the books. I just
Yeah.
haven't done the test.
Yeah.
I'm kind of lazy like that. But I teach people, and it's what helps me retain the knowledge of it, and it's what makes me a better educator is because I've done it. I've done that book 100 times. I know cover to cover. I do postings about it like, have you read the Z133 cover to cover? And so many people are like, oh, nope. And
That's cool, man. Well, how can people find you? What, Instagram, Facebook?
I'm
Where you
on
at?
Facebook.
What's your
I'm on
Facebook handle?
Instagram.
What's your handles?
Old is optional on Instagram.
Okay.
I do daily postings of what we do. I've got a Twitter account,
Old
but I've
is
never
optional.
put anything on it. It's we had a thing on our refrigerator for the longest time that growing old is inevitable, growing up is optional, and I was like, well, kind of. I turned 51 this year. I just started competition climbing 3 years ago. I section hiked the Appalachian Trail. I've got plans to go out to Utah to do some hiking in Utah
Cool.
with Dakota Lucas. Joshua Burr is supposed to be out at the same time. We're all supposed to get together and do some rock climbing and stuff. But to me, age is kind of a mindset. And I'm here to living proof, diet and exercise. You can do whatever you want. I've been told 3 times in my life I'd never walk again. I ripped off my left knee. I've compressed 3 vertebrae in my spine. I've herniated 3 discs in my spine. And
Here you are.
I climb trees competitively and hike for fun.
Yeah.
It's a mindset. It's all what you decide you want to do. You can do it. There should be nothing ever hold you back.
Todd, I'm glad you came on the show today, man. I appreciate
you letting me come on the show,
appreciate
man.
you. Guys, hey, listen to that. The words of wisdom right there. Regret is a horrible thing, man. Door opens. Take advantage of it. Go in. Someone calls you today. Someone asks you. Do it. Do it. It's like that movie Yes Man, and the things that he just said yes to everything and what happened in his life when he started saying yes and opened it up. So I appreciate everybody listening to the show, man. If you enjoyed Todd's story, share it on social media, put it out there, let other people be able to have the opportunity to hear his story. But when you come back to California, we'll get you on for the full show and in the podcast in the studio. So, all right, everybody, I appreciate you. Remember, continue elevating the standard through education, training, and innovation. See you soon. Bye.